Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. Folks, I am so excited to have with me today Dr. Nelva, that's spelled N-E-L-V-A, Lee, L-E-E, who is founder and CEO of a medical interpreting trade school for 20 years. Dr. Lee is a candidate for the Superintendent of Schools down in Georgia. She was a Republican candidate for State Senate in District 17. Dr. Lee has authored several Christian-based books, to flip my page here, including Stay and Fight and Be the Superhero of Your Story. Oh, I love the titles of those. Dr. Lee was a homeschool mom, substitute teacher for a Christian school, and as I mentioned, founder of a vocational school, and we're going to get into that because I am a graduate of a VOTEC school. She's married to her best friend, Donnie, for 25 years, and together they have 3 children. And I am excited to interview Dr. Lee. She also has over 20 years of experience in healthcare and over 10 years in academia as an adjunct professor for various universities. So I want to welcome you, Dr. Lee, to Chatting with Betsy.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
You are welcome. It is my pleasure. Dr. Lee, I'm so excited to interview someone about trade schools because now they're becoming, I want to say, in vogue. They're becoming more popular now, and I'm so happy to see that. I'm going to give a short story to you and the audience. Back in my day, when I went to trade school, which was 1971 through 1975, it was not popular. Back then, trade schools or tech schools were thought of as bad kids who went there, kids that weren't smart, almost kind of like a reform school. It had a very bad reputation. I don't understand why. And my parents were upset in a way. They didn't want me to go there. But I wanted to go because I always wanted to be a nurse. I took practical nursing. And I wanted a fresh start. I wanted to get away from my brother, my sister, and the kids I went to school with that bullied me. And I'm glad I went there. And I want to thank you for your advocacy for teaching people about trade schools and the benefits. So I'd like to ask you, why did they have such a bad reputation back then?
I think you're right, Betsy. I think a lot of schools, I would say it's high schools really, that have championed this whole idea that if you're smart, you go off to college. If you're not so smart, you go to trade school. And I think it's unfortunate because there are a lot of really smart people that do not want to go off to college. And especially now where we see this whole idea that basically getting a college degree is getting a second mortgage. You know, so a lot of young people are not wanting that trade-off. They don't want that as a trade-off of, you know, I either have to get a job or I have to get a mortgage. Those are 2 options that are bad options for a lot of people. And so we need to bring trade schools back. And the way that I propose to do it, where it's not, this is only for the smart kids and this is only for the not so smart kids, is in the state of Georgia, I want every graduate, whether you're college bound or not, to have a trade school certificate. And here's why. Like you, Betsy, I also got a trade school certificate, even though I was college bound. But I got it in the industry that I was getting my college degree in. And it worked that it became in like a built-in internship. So I got experience while I was going to college and in the industry, and so that as soon as I finished college, I actually had the experience. I could put that on my resume, and I got a really good paying job. So many college graduates graduate without any experience, and they struggle finding a job in the industry that they got a degree in. So this solves for that. But also for those that have zero desire to go to college, whether or not they can make it in college or not. But there's lots of people, lots of kids that want to have an alternative. But this gives them the ability to get a career, not just a job, a career. And there's lots of different careers in tech schools. There's not just the blue-collar jobs, the plumbers, the electricians, the welders, which we need, by the way, because with all the baby boomers leaving their jobs soon, retiring soon, we're going to need to fill those jobs. But for, like you mentioned, there's a myriad of healthcare certifications that don't require a college degree, and these are good paying jobs. And then also in the tech world, there's tons of tech certifications, coding certifications that you can get that will open doors for very good paying careers. And so we need to take advantage of, the sophomore, junior, senior high schoolers that are already thinking about their future and giving them the ability to start workforce ready right out of high school. And if they choose to still go on to college after getting this tech degree, great, right? Because this certification allows them to have experience. But if they don't, this gives them the ability to pay their bills, to be a full-fledged member of society right out of high school.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely agree, because there was many of my classmates in practical nursing that worked as a LPN and went to school for their RN. And I don't know if hospitals still do this, but a lot of hospitals back then were giving scholarships or helping pay for you to continue your education. So correct. That is, a big plus. And, I always say, Dr. Lee, you know what? We all need every profession. A doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning when his plumbing is going wrong, he's going to call a plumber, not another doctor.
That's exactly correct. You are right. And for those that want to have a business, we need to teach business school business techniques, so that, say you don't want to be a plumber, but you want to open up your own plumbing business, you can do that. So you get the certification, you get some experience with business, business 101, if you will, and then you're off to the races. But we need to give our young people a head start. That's what a high school experience education was supposed to do, was intended to do.
I really am thrilled about your idea, because I think that's a great idea, excellent, for people to go to a VOTEC or trade school, whatever they call it these days, and, they could get a certificate, they could get a great job, and while they're going to college. And not everybody can afford to go to college, as you said. And, I think, like parents of my generation, because I'm a baby boomer, and my parents were from World War II generation, and they were very into status. Well, I didn't go to college, so I was looked down upon. My older brother did not go to college. He was also looked down on. But my sister and my younger brother went to college, and, of course, they were, superstars. But going to a trade school, I want to really make this clear to the audience because I'm so passionate about it. People that go to trade schools are also very intelligent, very creative. You want them on your in your workforce. Electricians make really good money, folks, and we need them. Yeah. So they're laughing their way all the way to the bank. Those electricians and plumbers, and I could tell you, because the last time I had a plumber here, all they did was replace like a handle on my washroom sink for the washer, and that was almost $300 just for that. I think they were not even here an hour. So they do make great money. They are in demand, as you said. Baby boomers, such as I am, are retiring. Well, I am retired, but they are retiring. And who's going to replace these people? There's a shortage of workers, of blue-collar workers.
What? They are. And these jobs, guess what, are AI-proof. You're not going to find an AI doing plumbing anytime soon.
That's true. That's true. Or electrical work. How did you start, or what motivated you to start a trade school, which you started for interpreting?
Correct. So my background is healthcare administration, and I was the director of patient advocacy at Grady Health System, which is one of the largest public hospitals here in the state of Georgia, in the southeast actually. And my department was patient advocacy and interpreting services. And I was tasked with qualifying every single bilingual interpreter that we had in our system. And believe it or not, it was a daunting challenge back in the early 2000s because there weren't any schools in the state of Georgia to train our interpreters. And so we had to fly someone in from California, and then trying to get everybody, because we have shift workers, trying to get everybody to that training was also difficult. So I went to my CEO and I said, hey, why don't we start our own training program for medical interpreters? And he passed on the idea, but I was so passionate about it that I started my own. And it was an online program because of the flexibility. And I had already had experience creating programs because I was an adjunct professor with DeVry University, and they taught us how to create curriculum and create programs. And so I had already that experience plus the need that I saw in the industry, and I put those two together and started my own training program for medical interpreters, and it became so successful that I had tons of copycats, okay? Lots of companies started popping up doing the same thing. But before we started, there were no online programs. So we filled the need as far as providing quality training services for medical interpreters right where they could find them. And this was a need even for those that were in states where they did have training programs, because the training programs were so far away for so many people. Like people in California had the same problems because they would have to drive for 4 to 5 hours just to get to it. So this filled the need nationwide. And then I became very involved with the certification process. And so now, and back in 2010, we launched the National Board of Certification for Medical Interpreters, and I was the first chair of that certification program. And so I'm very proud to have been such an integral part of that industry. And I'm now kind of not doing the training program, but just providing the services through my company, Interpret AI. So we provide AI plus human interpreters. But I'm very, very proud of my efforts in the industry.
Wow, that is incredible. Now, when you talk about interpreting, are you interpreting for a patient or interpreting? Interpreting for a patient. Well, that's in high demand where I live in New Jersey. I mean, that New Jersey, New York, we do have interpreters because I live in such a diverse. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. So that's good to know, because New Jersey is very diverse.
It's not enough. Correct. Just being bilingual does not make you an interpreter. You have to be trained with medical jargon. You have to be trained with confidentiality. You have to know how to memorize certain information and how to deliver it and where to stand. So it's a whole training program. And so we were able to provide that. And most of our interpreters went on to become certified. So we had a very rigorous program that trained them well.
Wow. See, this is why I love doing my show, Dr. Lee, because I learn from every guest. And you're a wonderful resource for people to know about, because now people might say, oh, wow, that's something I would like to do, that I could do. and it's wonderful to know. I was so excited about introducing you. I did forget to mention that Dr. Lee is also founder and CEO of Concrete Build Financing, so I wanted to mention that. You are a woman of many different experiences, and you just bring a wealth of information. I was really excited, and thank you for connecting with me, because I would really like to change the image of a trade school / tech school. Those schools that I went to had changed its name. It used to be Woodbridge Votech Technical High School. I think it's now the something Allied Science Academy of something. I forgot the exact name. So they made it a fancy name, and they offer much more courses than they did 50 years ago. I don't know where 50 years went, but I'm glad to see, the trade schools getting the recognition that they should be getting. And I know that, like I said, I think World War II and your parents, who lived through the Depression and World War II, they wanted their children to do better. So I think they steered them into, college. And, of course, the baby boomers, they must have encouraged their children into college. And that I think that left the workforce short of these blue-collar jobs that are very high-paying. And, we have to, I feel back to, we have to change the mentality. It's okay to work with your hands. Just because you work with your hands doesn't mean you don't have a brain. You have to have a brain for your hands to work. And that's how I look at it. People, my dad actually said to me, Betsy, I'd be more proud of you if you were a registered nurse. Not nice to say.
But you could have gone on to obtain your registered RN degree after that, so it didn't stop you. Getting a vocational school doesn't stop you from getting a degree at a later time. Yes. Exactly.
I just didn't like school and studying, so I didn't pursue it. Okay. And back then, the LPNs were at the bedside, and the registered nurses were more at the desk. That's changed since then. But I liked the bedside nursing. I liked being with the patients, and I really enjoyed that. And there are so many opportunities for people to advance, and that's what is very important. Even, where I go for physical therapy, there's staff there that are going for their 2-year, getting a taste of what it's like, and then going for their 4-year and their doctorate. Okay. So, and I also want to just shout out to the young adults that are listening. Don't let anyone stop you from your dreams. Don't let anyone put you in a box and tell you you're only capable of doing this job or that job. Believe in yourself.
Sky's the limit.
Excuse me.
Whatever you believe in. Yeah. For me, getting a vocational certificate was about putting my way through college, because I didn't want to have those huge loans. And so I was successful in being able to pay my way through college, at least for my bachelor's. I did get a few loans for my master's and doctorate, but at least for my bachelor's, I had 0 loans. And that was the goal in me getting my vocational certificate, so that I could pay my way through college. And, I was happy in that it also turned out to be a great thing for me, in that I was able to get a good job right after, because it gave me that experience. And so I would highly recommend all of your listeners, whether or not you're going to college, just get a vocational certificate, and especially in the area that you're planning on going in. So whether it's, if you're going to be a lawyer, get a paralegal certificate. And so that way you can work part-time while you're going to college. And believe it or not, it's going to open your eyes about the industry that you're getting your degree in, and it's going to better prepare you once you're finished with your degree.
That's a great idea. You get to see what that field is like, and before you spend thousands of dollars and getting your going through law school, you could
Correct.
see what it's like, before. And I think that's great. Some people, they go into being for registered nursing, and then they realize they don't like it.
Exactly.
And if they became LPNs first, if they still have LPNs, I know they were trying to phase them out, they would know.
Yeah, there's still LPNs in need.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Oh, good. Because I know that CNAs they were trying to do, where I live anyway, in this one particular hospital, they were trying to do away with LPNs and just have certified nursing assistants and the registered nurses. I think they found out that didn't work so well. So you do need that. How did you get into politics?
So it's really about advocacy. I believe that I've just been wired for advocacy from a very young age. I don't like to see injustice, and whenever I see it, I want to fix it. And so that's just really how I've been wired. And so I have always known that I was going to get into politics at some point, and now that my children are older, I feel that I'm much more able to devote my time and efforts into that. So, and especially here in the state of Georgia, with the state of our education system, we rank 38 out of 50, which is horrible. And under the current superintendent of schools, that's a decline. 70% of our fourth graders are not proficient in reading, and that's also a decline under the tenure of the current superintendent of schools. So I feel that now more than ever, we need fresh leadership at the very top here in the state of Georgia.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. And, I agree with you. We're like kindred spirits, Dr. Lee, because I said on my show many times, when you see an injustice, we have to speak up, or there won't be any changes, and we have to be advocates. I know that firsthand. I was an advocate for my son, who has a cognitive disability, getting him into the proper school. I was an advocate for my husband during his Alzheimer's journey, and I have encouraged caregivers to be advocates for themselves and their loved ones, and especially, and as you know, with women, we have to be advocates for our health care. We're not listened to.
Definitely.
People do.
Definitely.
We get dismissed, and as you know, there are inequalities with medical care, and I've read many articles of women of color being discriminated against, not being believed that they are in pain, and other
certain mortality rates. Yes.
Yes, and that's not. It's not right. Everyone deserves to be treated, and I say this all the time on the show, with respect and dignity, and to have dignified health care from birth to death. Everyone deserves that. And I'm very passionate about that myself. I'd like to know, what was it like for you to be as a stay-at-home mom? Well, you weren't a stay-at-home mom 100% because you did work, but to homeschool your children.
Yes. So I homeschooled my son. He was autistic, and when I recognized that very early on when he was in daycare. So I pulled him out, and homeschooled him. I thought it was just going to be for a few years. When he went to kindergarten, still had issues, developmental issues, and so I pulled him out again and homeschooled him through 5th grade. And so really it was the best thing for him because it's really what he needed. He was very advanced academically, but developmentally and socially not so much. And so he needed a safe space, a free reign to learn as fast as he wanted to, and to grow as slow as he needed to emotionally and developmentally. So it was the best thing for him. And it was a great experience for the both of us. You know, it allowed us to bond really well, and just gave me a really good insight into how every child is unique. Every child learns at their own pace. Thankfully, most don't require such, drastic steps as far as being homeschooled. But for the ones that do, I want to empower parents to be able to make those decisions for themselves. And so one of my other initiatives is school choice, and that is basically expanding our current Scholarship Act, Promise Scholarship Act, and I want to expand it to $8,000. And for parents to be able to use it in any school setting, be that homeschool, private school, charter school, you name it. Because I believe that parents know what's best for their children, what environment their child will learn best in, not necessarily the school system. And so we need to empower parents. We need to make sure that they're engaged and that they are able to provide and be the advocates, as we mentioned, for their child, and make sure that those kids thrive, those kiddos can thrive.
Yes, absolutely. I truly believe that that's where my advocacy started, was with my son Josh, who I finally found out at the age of 13, Josh is 41 now, that he's on the autism spectrum and has a cognitive disability. But back when Josh was born, 84, and I knew, Dr. Lee, at 6 months that something was amiss. And doctors didn't believe me. Pediatrician didn't believe me. Of course, they blamed it on me or said that Josh was lazy. And it took a while. I mean, I took Josh to a different neurologist, and I was told that he was mentally retarded. He wasn't. Put on Ritalin because they said he was mentally hyperactive. He wasn't physically hyperactive. The kid didn't move. But as it turned out, I finally found out the diagnosis, and then when Josh was going to go into high school, I didn't want him going to the local high school. It had a bad reputation. And I told the child study team, you wasted 13 years of Joshua's life. You took away services when he still needed it. He is not going to the high school because I don't need for him to have a nervous breakdown. Here's a school I want you to take him to. This is what he needs. They have all his services. And if you don't, I will sue you. Now, I didn't have a lawyer to sue, but they didn't know that. And he did go to a private special ed school. Josh graduated at the age of 21. But as you don't know this, Dr. Lee, as you're well aware of, as parents, you think the child study team knows your child better than you, but you actually know them better, and you think they know what's best. Yes, but what they won't tell you, and I know you know this, Dr. Lee, they will not recommend anything that's going to cost the township money. We call township where I live, or your town, money. And it costs a lot of money to send a child to a private special education school, a lot. But it's not fair, and I told them so, that you took away speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy when Josh still needed it. And this is a funny story. I found out that they were having a meeting. This is many years ago. And I went and I spoke up and I said, you took away Joshua's services and he still needs it. You need to continue these services. Well, needless to say, I was not invited back to any more meetings.
Well, you are a perfect example of what it looks like for a parent to advocate for their child. And it's very sad that you had to threaten them just to get what your son needed. And what I want to do is just empower parents from the get-go. Some states do this very well, by the way. Florida, for instance, is a model that I like to use. No state is perfect, but I like the Florida model because, number one, their budgetary system is designed where the money follows the child. So it's a true school choice system. And then they allocate $8,000 per child, and they can use it in any setting. And that's really what I'd like for us to model here in the state of Georgia. And so I believe that gives parents, from the very beginning, from the get-go, the ability to evaluate and analyze their child's learning environment and decide whether or not they believe that that's a good fit. And I can tell you, the majority of children, the public school system works just fine for them. That's great.
Right.
But there's a subset of children where either they're too advanced or they need their special needs, or for whatever reason, they need a different setting, different learning environment. And we need to empower and equip those parents to be able to make those decisions.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And that, every child learns the same. And I worked at a preschool also. And I just think that in some schools, systems, we squash the child's creativity and how they learn. And I don't think that's right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you colored outside the lines, that was, no, and this had to be a certain color and that had to be a certain color. Well, what if the child wants to color an elephant pink? What is wrong with that? Why does it have to be gray? And so what? They colored outside the lines. They're young. They'll improve. Maybe they have a hand-eye coordination problem. I had to share the story because I wanted to say something to this parent, but I couldn't. This child was in preschool all day. And mother comes to pick her up, and the child is so excited to show her drawing. She looked at the paper, and she said to her daughter, "You colored outside the lines. Why didn't you color like this picture here?" She didn't color outside the lines. And you could just see this little girl's face just dropped, Dr. Lee, and I felt so bad. And I just really wanted to go over and say something to her, like, what are you doing to your daughter? You just ruined your self-esteem. I just have a heart for children, and I feel that, and this is what I tried to do when I worked, to make each child feel confident and special about themselves so that they will want to learn. Because if you keep telling a child, oh, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way, you're doing it wrong, what's their incentive? Mm-hmm. They're not going to have an incentive to learn. But if you encourage them and say, oh, that's very creative, you colored the elephant pink. How did you come up with that? And try to encourage them and make them feel good about themselves. I think they'll want to learn more.
That's for sure. Yes, I love that.
Thank you. That's just my opinion, folks. I don't have a degree in education. It's just experience and how I felt as a child, because when I was growing up in the 60s, the teachers were allowed to make fun of you and insult you in front of the whole school. In front of the whole class. And I would be, of course, I was sensitive, and I would be standing there, tearing up. Then, of course, you got made fun of for crying. It was rough. It was, it was a rough time. I actually had a seventh grade teacher tell me, he said, Betsy, you're going to take a general course in high school and get married and have kids, and that's going to be, that's your life.
Oh, gosh.
That's what's going to be for you. Yeah. Putting people in boxes. And, you know, the only college I went to was I did like a year and a half of Bible school. But yeah, I found it hard. I found it myself. It was really hard for me to work and very challenging. And that, you know, it's not for everyone, but I always say try it and see if you can do it. You know, that's how I feel. I love the titles of your books, Dr. Lee. I was wondering if you could talk about them, because
definitely.
I always like to say, you know, we have to fight for our rights. We have to fight for decent care. We have to fight for decent medical care. In the world of Alzheimer's, we have had to fight for proper diagnosis, and then be the superhero of your story. Oh, I just love that. So please, if you could expand on those books, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So I say that my books are my written testimonies. And so I believe very, very much that when we overcome a challenge, that we should try to help others that might have a similar challenge, or kind of give a how-to, if you will, on how to overcome a particular challenge. And so that's what my books are about. So Stay and Fight is a book for marriages, especially anyone contemplating divorce or separation in their latter years in marriage. I speak specifically about menopause and how menopause really does a whammy on your hormones, and we all know that, but specifically how it dislodges or uncouples your hormones that are meant to make you close to your family. You know, the oxytocin and all of those hormones that make you want to be close and with your children and your husband. Well, those hormones go to the wayside during menopause, and makes it really difficult for a lot of marriages to operate the same way that they operated in the past. And so oftentimes when women find themselves in menopause and they're needing to reshuffle what their marriages look like, they don't understand what's happening, and oftentimes that leads to separation and divorce. So it's a book sort of like chronicling a little bit of my experience, but also kind of some how-tos to navigate that difficult period. And Staying and Fight basically is, hey, stay and fight for your marriage, even if it looks completely different by the time you're done with this whole process of reshuffling. It's okay. The other book you mentioned was Be the Superhero of Your Story. I wrote that in the aftermath of COVID and seeing so many young people, specifically young people, going through anxiety and depression. Now, mental health issues just rose drastically nationwide for all demographic ages and demographics. But, you know, we saw, you know, suicide rates skyrocket and alcoholism and drug addiction skyrocket. But anxiety was very prevalent, and I wanted to write a book kind of chronicling, again, my experience with depression and how to reshape your paradigm when you're faced with a challenge, and really trying to encourage young people specifically that it's okay to face challenges. In fact, when we face a challenge, it gives you an opportunity to show your superpowers. And so it's all about rising to the occasion. Every superhero has to have a major challenge before they have to use their superpowers, right? And so it's the same idea. It's rising to the occasion and allowing us to really shine under the weight of some of the challenges that we might face. And so that's what that book's about. And then Victorious, you know, chronicles my experience with overcoming depression and PTSD. And then Hope in the Future is our journey in adopting a little girl from the foster care system, and really just encouraging others who might be thinking about doing that, because there's lots of kids in the foster care system that need homes. And, you know, just kind of like, hey, go into it with your eyes wide open. It's going to be challenges, but the blessings on the other side are so much worth it. So That's just a little summary of those books.
Wow. Oh, thank you. They sound fantastic. And they're available on Amazon, I saw.
Correct, yes. And you can find the links of that on my website, drnelvalee.com.
Oh, I was going to ask about your website. And how can people in Georgia support you in your run, your canvases, I can't even talk right now, your however you pronounce it, candidacy. Yes. There you go. For Superintendent of Schools.
Yeah, the first way is they can vote for me, and the primaries are coming up in May, and so I really would like to get your vote. There's several of us on the conservative side and several of us on the liberal side, but really and truly we need a new leadership. And so if you are inclined to vote for me, please do so May 19th, or we also have early voting in the state of Georgia. You can find out more about my platform at drnelvalee.com. That's drnelvalee.com. And as I mentioned, my books are there. All of my podcast interviews are on there, and also links to my social media.
Oh, that is great. I am also a huge mental health care advocate, Dr. Lee, and you're right. COVID did bring it to the forefront. There's still stigma around mental health, yes. Very much so, that needs to stop. And my son was a great caregiver for his dad, and he had someone brought him a T-shirt that said, "Caregiving is my superpower. What's yours?"
I love
and
that.
and he was so proud to be a caregiver. He took it so seriously, and he was great. Josh was great with his dad. And I have done many interviews about the foster care system. And that could be a whole nother show. And that is a
so you'll have to have me back on
yes, that's a whole nother area of we need to support these children and do what is best for them. And every child needs to be treated with respect and dignity. And sometimes we like to favor or show love to the ones that are what you would call lovable, but the ones that you think are unlovable, they're the ones that need the love. They're the ones that need the attention. They're crying for it. And, a simple smile, a simple act of kindness can change, or a book, you give a child a book, can change their life. Absolutely could steer them in the right direction.
Definitely.
And excuse me. And I just think that you're doing fantastic work, and I wish you so much success. Not just on your books, but on your being a candidate. And I hope you win.
I
it's
hope
so funny.
Too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I never interviewed people that were running currently for politics, and you're the second person that I've interviewed that is running for office. So I am getting into politics. So that's cool, and I wish you the best. Education, of course, as you know, Dr. Lee, is very important, and people in Georgia, you hear this, give a vote for Dr. Nelva Lee, and I want to thank you, Dr. Nelva Lee, for coming on, sharing your story, and you are a very wonderful resource. I encourage everyone to go on the website, which will be in the blog that Jeannie White, the station manager, writes. And you could contact Dr. Nelva Lee. You can go on her website and see what you can do. If you're in Georgia, see how you could get involved. Even if you're not in Georgia, see how you could get involved. And education is very important. And I thank you for what you are doing to support trade schools, make awareness, and for all your advocacy work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, CEO of Passionate World Talk Radio Network, who makes this all possible. I want to thank the listeners, subscribers. Thank you for listening today. Please share the show. I'm here to help others, to let you know about resources, and to help you have a better life. And that's what I do. That's why I'm here. And I want to thank you for listening. If you don't already subscribe to Chatting with Betsy, please do so. It is for free. I'm on iHeart, Spreaker, Spotify, and Amazon Music, just to name a few. And as I always say at the end of my show, you can follow me on Facebook, Betsy Wurzel, Wurzel. And in a world where you can be anything, please be kind, shine your light bright, because we need it now more than ever before. This is Betsy Wurzel. You're a host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Bye-bye now.